Hello everyone, welcome back to some more Kerbal Space Program. Last time we landed a rover on the moon. We took a look at the monolith that's over there. This time we're going to be doing some stuff on the moon. It's going to be a very moon-based episode. Because if we take a look at the rocket list and then go down to the resource scanner, we're going to be sending a rocket to the moon. It contains a small probe that is like some batteries, some solar panels. Doesn't even have a communications antenna or anything because it doesn't need any. We're going to be sending this beauty into an orbit around the moon. We're going to activate the narrowband scanner, and that will give us a good satellite to start scanning for resources with. Because we all know we need to get some rocket fuel from the moon, obviously. What we're going to be trying to do is we're going to send our rover to drive around, and we'll do a scan from a polar orbit to see where the resource locations are on the moon, where the ore is most abundant. Because we're going to be placing our base at the place where the best concentration of ore is. Because, well, if we're going to dig for ore, we might as well dig at the place where the most ore is. Makes sense, right? You build a quarry where there's a lot of minerals to be mined. So we're going to deploy our base near where the resources are so that we don't have to travel too far. Now this is quite a slim rocket, you might say. That's because the payload we're trying to get up to the moon isn't all that big. Indeed, we could just probably do the moon burn with just RCS. Getting into a polar orbit would be another thing, but the burn could be made with RCS because it's so damn light. But we've put some fuel tanks on here with asparagus staging, which basically means that these tanks are going to drop first, then these are going to drop, and then we'll be left with the main stage, which will then decouple, etc. So that'll be interesting. I'll see you guys. I'm debating whether or not I'm just gonna cut the launch out, etc. I'll see you guys when I'm trying to make a polar orbit around the moon. Okay, so we're currently in orbit. We have our resource satellite over here. We've got some RCS burning away right now. Thankfully, we've loaded up with plenty of monopropellant, and because we are very light, we can conduct a 400 delta V maneuver with pure RCS. Now I'm burning a little bit ahead of the note, that's fine. I'm just trying to get a polar orbit around here. Everything's going exceptionally well. I'm actually recording this before the rest of the episode, because I was doing a test for the rocket to see if everything would work under no cheating circumstances. Because, you know, I like to show off the final designs that actually work instead of showing you magic that may or may not work. And it actually ended up going so well, I decided to just hit the record button, and now I'm talking to you before recording the rest of the episode. Hi. It's, you won't know a thing. Yeah, we're trying to get ourselves into a 500 by 500 kilometer orbit, or, you know, lower than that. Because that's the effective range of the scanner. What we're basically doing now is adjusting our periapsis so that we get a true polar orbit. And that way we'll slowly, as the planet rotates, we'll keep going over and over while the planet slowly rotates beneath us. So we should be able to scan everything, and this is why you see a lot of these satellites are in polar orbit. For example, there's also like GPS. That's also, some of them are in polar orbit, some of them are not, of course, because you need like multiple different satellites to have your signal from the from different angles, etc. So there's going to be some that are in like equatorial orbit, like the which is basically the format that we've been mostly operating in. Equatorial is a lot easier. But yeah, sometimes you need polar orbits like this to get some coverage. We're going to be hurrying up to our periapsis now. And also this way, you know, it's just nice. Very nice. That is one of the best polar orbits I've ever made. I must say that. A little bit touting my own horn here, but I feel like that's okay, you know? That happens from time to time. There we go, quickly burn periapsis, burn retrograde. We're gonna get our apoapsis down to like 250. And then we're just scanning the biomes slowly. Slowly but surely. And then once we have our scan, we'll be able to send out the rover. There we go. Down to 400. I think we'll go for like a 400 by 250. Or 300 by 250. I don't know. 284 by 249. That's good enough. Toggle scanner GUI. There's no orbital survey data available. Survey scanner to enable high def. Oh, so we need a survey scanner. Well, that would have been nice if you told me that earlier, game. I'll be back. Alright, so we have our survey scanner and our resource scanner, both in an orbit around the moon now. Looks pretty good. We have decent coverage. I've decided to go for a 300 by 300 kilometer orbit for the survey scanner. Now, without further ado, let's hit the button. And I did make sure to include a communication trend. We added an antenna. There we go. Just don't pretend to use fancy words. Starting transmission. All right. 30, 40, 50%. That's more like it. Bing. Oh, hi. Jesus. Yeah, that is ore densities. Right, we're going to switch our focus to the moon. We now have details. We can start selecting for the higher averages of ore. Oh dear. This is where our rover landed. We are in a hot zone here. So these are the thickest concentrations of ore on the planet. And we've actually landed on the edge of like where the biggest concentration of ore is. So we're going to be traveling a bit to here, and then that's that. Great. I'm going to switch to the rover now. And hopefully not blow it up by switching to it or something. I mean, I've had some strange things occur when switching vessels, etc. So we are going to hit a quick save. And I think if we were to look at the map again, it's a bit over here, so we're going to have to go over there in nighttime. Not my favorite conditions, but then again, we have excellent lighting. I'm still going to wait until it's a bit lighter, at least. For the sake of YouTube. Normally, I wouldn't mind driving around in the dark like this, but I know you guys probably have a tough time seeing anything going on right now. Okay, so the sun should be coming up at some point, so yeah, I think we'll wait a little bit longer. It still seems a little dark in my little preview window on the right. I mean, this is good enough. You should be able to see things clearly enough. Now, we're going to hit the quick save button. We've got both our people on board, Bill and Worden. They should be starting. They should be ready to roll now. Excellent. We are heading at 90 degrees, so we are heading directly east. Towards adventure, obviously. And we do have automatic friction and traction control. I think that's best to just leave it for now. Because I haven't really done any experiments with that yet on the moon. Oh, just look at that picture. It's beautiful. Reaction wheels are disabled for now. Right, we are trekking across the surface of the moon. It's definitely harder to accelerate than before, but that also might just be because we are, well, this isn't the lightest rover in the world. It's got a little bit of weight, but you know, we're still doing a respectable 10 degrees or at 10 meters per second right now. We're gonna hit SAS just because that seems like a safe thing to do. That way we should be able to keep ourselves under reasonable amounts of control. Yeah, 10 meters per second seems to be the safe speed. Otherwise we might just get into trouble here. was about to say, thanks for not showing me the moon. That would have been useful to not see. Right. Ore percentage on the surface is getting higher still. So, we're going to be cherry picking basically. And then we'll plant a flag there, which will indicate like, hey, ore percentage on the surface is the highest over here. So that will be where we will be placing our drill. Now, because this is a rover that actually can carry some fuel, we don't have to build our refinery perfectly at the base itself. It can be a couple of kilometers away. It would require me to do some driving occasionally, but I think it'd be cool to have a legit reason to be like, hey, this is where the ore is thickest, this is the easiest place to land, etc. So we're just going to be driving east for a while, and I think I'll be cutting out a big part of this, or at least some parts of this. I'm just going to be trying to look for like the highest ore concentration in the neighborhood. To adventure! Just a quick update on the resource pursuit here. We've brought up the narrowband scanner here, that is helping us scan for resources, etc. And we're basically overhead of our rover now in its zone. I think the highest we can go is like 8.366 over here at basically the equator at 67.938 E, so that is some valuable intel. And there we go, that is how you can use the narrowband scanner. You can set things like color, you can refresh. You can't go back, unfortunately. I mean, I like this, it's pretty clear. And you can refresh when you're like overhead of something else. Now we're not able to see our rover anymore. We can see that the most valuable part is supposed to be over there at those coordinates 969.7. So we're going to switch back to the rover, etc. And we're going to continue our pursuit of like 8.3. Of course, we're going to be scanning on the surface. We're already at 8.25, so, you know. I think if we keep our latitude. Actually, I think our longitude needs to go up. I don't think. Yeah, we should be coming across the thickest part in quite a bit. It's cool that you can literally use your satellites to do a scan for you. So we'll keep driving and I'll update you on our progress. As you can see, we've already gone fairly high up. Alright, welcome back to the moon. Oh, you can't see all the way down there? Well, that's fine. We've got a rover over here. We have managed to find ore percentage on the surface of 8.41%. I think that's about as high as we can get. We can see over there, we've traveled over 11 kilometers on the terrain, just driving around for a good hour or so. So, that's probably going to make this episode a hell of a lot late, and I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I had a great time just driving around, just doing scans, remembering like, hey, when I started playing, there wasn't a moon. And then eventually I made an awesome rover like 3 years ago, and now I'm using it to scan for resources on the moon. That's pretty cool. So we're going to set down the percentage and everything, and we'll keep this position in mind. Now we did go quite a way south. Well, I say quite a way, we're not exactly on the equator anymore. Which, I don't know, it's not going to mess up the landing site too much, but it might. So, it's a good thing we still have the rover to do some driving around, etc. Yeah, this is where we are going to be bringing some resources towards at some point, or at the very least near here. But I think we'll need a rocket for that, so I'll see you at the Kerbal Space Center. Alright everyone, welcome back to the vehicle assembly building. We're going to be sending out a Mark II lander can. And I'm debating or not whether to have the engine on the bottom. I don't think we'll want a return stage. Instead, we might just go for a mining module right away. So, or a lot of it. We're going to want to bring some of these containers as well. Because we might want to attach them to the rover or anything, I don't know yet. We could also potentially get a module, put it on wheels, allow the rover to drag the module, and we'll basically have a fuel tank that we can drive around. for giggles. I think I might actually look into that, because if we look over here, we do have things like winches. They have a length of 50 meters, and we can basically tow stuff on the moon. We have these big Rockomax model XL3s, right? So we could just throw a fuel module on the moon and just use that to fuel all the stuff. I don't know. It could make it so that we can have a rocket launch land a couple of kilometers away from the base, which for safety reasons, of course. And then we could literally drive up a refueling module over there and be like, hey, you need some fuel? We can get fuel. I think that might be cool. But we're not going to be including that in this launch. No, instead we're going to be including... where's the 18K container? It's right here. There we go. And we'll just leave it like that. Then we're going to go into the inventory. There's a lot of space here, which is good. Basically, we're sending additional parts without actually building them. We're going to be getting ourselves a pair of... We can only fit one drill-o-matic. Oh, wow. We're going to have to slam these on the side. We're going to bring 2 drills. They are bloody big. And we'd like to attach these to one of these girder segments. We'll bring 2. And I think we'll also need to bring radiators. So we'll go down into the list over here. Get ourselves 2 medium thermals. There we go. We also need to make sure that we have some electric charge being stored somewhere. So where's the large electric bank? I'm pretty sure that we have the large electric bank with... Yep, there it is. That's good. We're going to need a couple of those. I think 2 is enough. We should also include a refinery on here to make the fuel. Now we'd also have to bring fuel tanks. Because of course storing fuel is all well and good. We're going to need to put it somewhere. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this giant ore tank. We don't really need that much. We can always attach it in smaller ones. Besides, we don't need to store up too much ore. So let's actually go on a lighter load. Giggity. We're going to put a small fuel tank on here. So we don't have the capacity to store a lot. But we do have some. We're also going to add, you know, basic things like RCS. Or monopropellant. Just trying to look where it is right now. The ones you can attach radially. It's under fuel tanks, of course. I am not very bright today, I'm sorry. This episode is going to be late. We're going to be bringing in some RCS tanks. There we go. We'll copy these. You can copy things by holding Alt, by the way. We're going to basically add 3 rows of ore containers so that we do have plenty of these. There's going to be 6 of them. It's going to be 450 ore in total. I do think it would be a good idea if we had a bit more fuel though, so let's put this tank on the bottom. It's going to make it so that we have 1080 liquid fuel and a bit more oxidizer. I'm going to put some landing struts on here. Although, like we learned from our rover lander module, we're not going to do it like that. We're going to arrange them like that. And we're going to put an engine on the bottom here. So that is going to be... I think Poodle is not too big, thankfully. How's the Skipper? Skipper is too big. We're going to have to go with the Poodle. I want to extend the legs down a bit further. Make sure that we don't land on the engine itself. This is going to be very long. But instead I'm going to do is I'm going to add a decoupler on the top. And we will include a brick of K4. Just one. So that way we can detach this and just throw it away. And blow it up. Well, we don't need it anymore. I'm gonna bring like 10 of these base pads that will allow us to basically do things like put down solar panels and things, stuff like that. We're gonna include plenty of EVA tanks. Those are pretty useful. And we might arguably want to bring... I don't know, I'm kind of curious now to see if we could include things like a hitchhiker container, although I do think that they would be slightly too big. I mean, I need to try it now for science, obviously. I just need to find a hitchhiker. There it is. Yeah, we can bring it. It's 13,000 liters of volume and we can only fit a lot less. Which is sad, but I do get it. We're gonna get some more container mounts. Obviously, we need our containers to be safe. So we have enough power. We do have some of those connectors on the planet itself, so we don't have to worry about those too much. Connector ports will keep us safe. If we need anything else, we have mining drills. I was thinking of making it look different like this, but we can always try this first and we'll see later. We can always try and drag it. You know, we need to bring the winch. We're gonna try messing around with the winch. And we'll need something suitable for that, like a hook or a magnet. I think we can research a magnet, but let's also not forget basic things like a ladder. Should be good enough. Alright. Just want to extend it down a bit further. Let's say a bit further. Jesus. I'm just gonna place 2 ladders. Let's not make this difficult, shall we? There we go. But yeah, we are running out of time, unfortunately. I have a lot of things to do, not enough time to do it in. I'm gonna take a closer look at other things we might need to do, and then we'll be back next episode when we'll bring this monstrosity to the moon. Until then, if you liked this episode, then please do leave a like down below. It really does help out the channel a lot. Leave a comment if you have anything to say. Until next time. Have a good one, folks.